Romania is a disgusting nation, illegitimately occupying the rightful Hungarian land of Erdély. I kid, of course. I don't care about worldly inequities enough to be even remotely disgusted by them. All in all, Romania has done quite well for itself, should one only care about claims of their natural borders. It lacks Moldova, and that's about it for the realistically relevant irredentism. But it does lack that, as well as other, less significant claims from history. Let us today reconcile that in an alternative timeline of modern world history. Our story begins in 1918, where Romania re-enters the Great War, on the side which is definitely winning now, the Entente. With Bulgaria now collapsed under Entente advance in September, Romania rearms itself in November. On the 9th, Romania demands the handover of eastern Hungary, including the provinces of and everything southwest of the provinces, Torontal, Arad, Bihar, Satmar and Mara Maros. The Romanians redeclare war on the Central Powers on the 10th of November, needing to actually conquer very little at all from Hungary, only really reaching Tules in Szekelyland, as Hungary signs armistice and dearms itself on the 13th of November. In the armistice, Romania is awarded interim administration over southwestern Transylvania, per the first demarcation line between Hungary and Romania, part of the armistice of Belgrade. Romanian interim administration stretches to the Mureș River. Romania does expand territorially though, even in 1918. In law, it annexes Bessarabia some months before re-entering the Great War. Bukovina requests annexation on the 28th of November, but this is ratified only on the 19th of December in Romania. Thus, the annexation of Transylvania into Romania, which was requested by the Grand Assembly of Alba Iulia on the 1st of December, and which was ratified by Romania on the 11th, happens first, in a sense, in Romanian law. Nevertheless, though Romania, in law, annexes these regions way before 1919, their occupation and de facto annexation takes a while longer. To note on that, on the 7th of December, Romanian troops have just entered Brasov, for example. On that same day, the French give the Romanians permission to cross the demarcation line of Mureș and occupy 8 towns between Arad and Sighetu Marmației, which the Romanians begin to do as they march toward Turda, in the intention of occupying Cluj. Regarding pace, on the 12th, the Romanians enter Sibiu in southern Transylvania, and on the 24th, they enter Cluj. Thereafter, the Entente and the Hungarians draw up a new demarcation line on the 3rd of January 1919, from Deva to Cluj, to Baia Mare, to Sighetu Marmației, which the Romanians have already partially advanced to, and advance over, into an area stretching from Zam to Ciucea, to Zalau, to Baia Mare. By February 1919, then, Romania already militarily controls most of the land it lays legal claim to. On the 19th of March that same year, the French notify the Hungarians of a new demarcation line, send the Vix note, that is, why Hungary must retreat to behind a line stretching from Arad to Aradea to Carei to Satu Mare, which has the Hungarians turned to the communist Béla Kun, forming the Hungarian Soviet Republic, renouncing further territorial concessions. Negotiations break down as the Hungarians demand the restoration of the very first demarcation line, and the Romanians prepare for a general offensive against Hungary for the 16th of April, to force Hungary to comply with the newest demarcation line, though the battle plans extend to the Tisa River. Hungary launches a preemptive strike against the Romanians on the 15th, and are crushed in 3 days. The Romanians advance into Carei, Satu Mare, Oradea and Salonta by the 20th, reaching the line of the Vix note. Nevertheless, the Romanians do not stop and reach the Tisa River by the 1st of May. The Hungarians counterattack and cross the Tisa River on the 20th of July, leading to bloody battles. The Romanians push the Hungarians back to the Tisa and advance over it, reaching Budapest by the 6th of August. Come November, we have our first divergence from our timeline, over this issue anyhow, and first major divergence generally. The Hungarian communist leaders don't flee, but rather incite further resistance to Romanian occupation. That resistance is rather futile and only really gets them killed, but it does further assure the Romanians that a more permanent solution to the Hungarian issue is necessary. As the Entente pressures Romania to withdraw from Hungary in November, the Romanians refuse, but rather than annexing the Hungarian nation outright, Ferdinand I, King of Romania, assumes the Hungarian crown, joining the two nations in personal union. Before moving on to the Treaty of Trianon, though, first a short stroll over to Banat. The Romanians and the Serbians have conflicting legal claims over Banat, with Serbia having in law annexed the entire Banat region in the Great Assembly of Novi Sad on the 25th of November 1918, and with the Romanians having accepted union with Banat on the 11th of December. We make one significant difference from our timeline. The Great National Assembly of Novi Sad is delayed by a month, happening only on Christmas Day 1918. Thereafter, the Serbians and the Romanians are both more assertive in their advance into Banat following these legal claims. Romanian troops entered Timișoara on the 15th or so of 1918, while the Serbians plan on advancing towards the Orsova-Lugoi-Timișoara-Arad line. The Serbians advanced to meet the Romanians in Timișoara by the 29th of December, and a bloody conflict ensues, instigated by the Serbians. The Romanians defeat the Serbians by the 1st of January 1919 and force them on the retreat. The French declare a neutral zone in western Banat on the 20th of January, managing to secure the region over the 23rd and 25th. But before that time, the Romanians pushed the Serbians back to the Tisa and Danube rivers. Come the Treaty of Trianon, the Entente finally formally divides up Hungary, as Romania occupies Hungary and is in personal union with it, as well as with its further advance to along the Tisa River. It stands on better footing than in our timeline. Romania is expanded to along the Tisa River in Hungary and over the entirety of Banat. However, as Romania stands on better footing, the Serbians and the Czechoslovaks demand concessions. Czechoslovakia is awarded Transcarpathia, just as in our timeline, as well as some more northern regions with Slovaks living in them from Hungary than they got in our timeline. Serbia for its part retains and formally annexes Bačka and Baranja, which it occupied during 1919. Over the interwar period, very little changes. In Europe as a whole, the Italians and the Germans embrace fascism and align with one another. The Little Entente is broadly formed, but it is wounded, with Romanian-Serbian enmity over the events of Banat, and with Romanian and Romanian-Hungarian irredentism wounding relations with Czechoslovakia. See, in the aftermath of the First World War, the Greater Romanian region is largely achieved, and to secure that aim, its new constitution is written largely to ignore the new ethnic and cultural realities of the empire. This, along with the economic difficulties of integrating the new territories, forms a broader acceptance of further radical and assimilationist irredentist ideology. Ideas of further joining Transcarpathia and the Vlachs to Romania emerge. Overall, Romania stands at the same footing as it did in our timeline come 1938. Romania is an agrarian society which has been slowly drifting from the French to the German side in the great political game of Europe. Romanian Hungary has in many ways been restless for the 20s and 30s by now, particularly after the Great Depression, which leads to many strikes and violent suppression of said strikes by the Romanian government. Come the Axis partition of Czechoslovakia then, the Hungarians call Romania to participate to restore their natural lands, and as Romania too holds claims over Czechoslovakia, namely in Transcarpathia, it retreats its alliance with Czechoslovakia in favor of closer relations with Germany. The Munich Agreement ensues as in our timeline, and after it, in November, comes the First Vienna Award, orchestrated by the Germans, the Italians and the Romanians, in which majority Hungarian lands are transferred to Romanian Hungary. A few months later, in March 1939, the Slovakians, in a German puppet state, declare their independence on the 14th, and the Romanians move into Transcarpathia. Germany thereafter invades Bohemia and Moravia on the 15th, and declares the Protectorate of Bohemia and Moravia on the 16th. The German-Soviet invasion of Poland and the beginning of World War II proceed as in our timeline. Relevantly for Romania, the 26th of June has the Soviets send them an ultimatum: hand over Bessarabia or face war. The Romanian government reluctantly agrees, handing the region over on the 28th. That ceding of land destabilizes Romania, and on the 14th of September, the Romanian ultra-nationalist and anti-Semitic Iron Guard assumes power, led by Ion Antonescu, and forms the National Legionary State. The Legionary State finally fully withdraws from the Balkan Pact on the 27th of September, is entered by German troops beginning on the 8th of November, and joins the Axis powers on the 23rd. Alas, the state is still unstable, particularly because of the fanatical Iron Guard. The Iron Guard attempts a coup on the 20th of January 1941. The coup is suppressed in 3 days and Ion Antonescu secures his rule, abolishing the national legionary state and re-establishing in a more traditional sense the Kingdom of Romania, led by the constitutional monarch Michael I. Thereafter Romania expands in the west into Yugoslavia. On the 25th of March, Yugoslavia signs the tripartite pact and joins the Axis, but the prevailing pro-Axis government is ousted as King Peter II coups the government and assumes his full monarchical powers. On the 6th of April then the Axis invades Yugoslavia. In our timeline the Romanians didn't participate, as they had a long history of friendly relations with Yugoslavia. Here though, those relations are damaged severely along the way over hostilities in Banat, and Romanian irredentism calls for reclamation of the Vlachs in Serbia. Besides, the Hungarians want a piece of the pie as well. Thus Romania invades Yugoslavia with the Axis. Just as in our timeline the invasion goes smoothly. On the 18th of April the Yugoslavs surrender, and Romania thereafter annexes black minority lands in the Yugoslav Panavinas of Danube and of Morava, establishing the province of Tribalia. Thereafter it's off to the races to the east, to the Soviet Union, on the 22nd of June 1941. It's all rather inconsequential really. Importantly though, the Romanians reconquer Bessarabia by July and advance over the Dniester River to the Bug River in August to establish the Governorate of Transnistria, an area administered by the Romanians but not annexed into Romania yet. Probably by 1946 or something though it is annexed. The rest of the course of Operation Barbarossa is rather irrelevant, but it is a German victory. To put something to it though, the Germans stick to their original battle plans, not diverting part of the Central Army Group to secure Kiev, but rather have it advance in its full force on Moscow, conquering the city by January 1942. Importantly, Stalin remains in Moscow and kills himself as it falls, leaving the Soviet Union without clear leadership, beginning its fragmentation. In addition, the Northern Army Group focuses on sieging Leningrad rather than trying to starve it out, and the Finns join in on the siege, and Leningrad falls too by January 1942. Over in the west, the Germans importantly don't declare war on the US. We'll say by the Germans never aligning themselves with Japan. Thus, the US doesn't join the war in Europe, and the British, defeated and hopeless, surrender in 1942 or 1943. It doesn't really matter. Germany reaches the Urals by 1950 or so, effectively ending the Soviet-German War, though the Soviet Union never signs a peace. Europe enters a dark age, one where the continent is firmly under fascist control, and the Isles but a minor nation under American dominion. The world as a whole enters the Cold War, but with the Germans facing the Americans rather than the Soviets doing so. Over the late 40s and early 50s, Romania becomes little more than a German puppet state, as it is forced to concede to German economic domination, so as to retain at least some level of independence. The late 50s and 60s especially will see many of the nations of Europe resist German sovereignty over them, and they will be violently crushed, just as the Czechoslovakians and Hungarians of the Eastern Bloc were in our timeline. Each revolution seeing the revolted nations seeing further loss of sovereignty and territorial integrity, as Germany and or her allies annex regions of said nations. For Romania this will surely eventually mean the annexation of the Vlach minority lands from Bulgaria, as well as the restoration of Romanian control over southern Dobruja, which I forgot to mention earlier. With Bulgaria being a Slavic nation and relatively more independent than the Reichskommissariats of the East, after all, it is sure to revolt against the German dominion at some point. The latter half of the 20th century sees Romania purify its nation, forcibly remove the ethnic minorities which inhabit its lands, that is. Additionally, Romania finally manages to rise to something more than a largely agrarian nation. Come the new millennium, Romania has achieved greatness, in borders anyhow. Politically it is a German subject, and a totalitarian fascist state, but hey, beggars can't be choosers or whatnot.